Testing 1 2. Can you hear me? This is what I didn't want to happen. Oh wow. It looked it looked like almost like it could like how long did you have to wait like behind the scenes like then they're ready like Dean we're ready for you come on in. Oh, Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes.
That's incredible. Wow, man. What? Mm-hmm. Did you did you watch Stargate before you ended up landing that role? Yeah. Is it true that he does a cameo in every episode he directs? Even if it's just a guy on the side, like twiddling his thumbs? Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson. Really? I didn't know that. I really had no idea. I've actually seen that one. Okay, so you get this script, and they tell you you're going to be playing Dark Lord Anubis. Here's the makeup. Where do you find what? Where do you? What is your motivation? Where do you find your motivation for your character? Including also with the X Files. How did you? What was your? Where did you find your motivation to for that role? Hmm. I had it. Dad, what's a VHS? No, Dad, what's a VHS? Is that a channel? Yeah, I think if you watch enough, VHS, you'll probably end up on LSD, and probably vice versa. Yeah, no, that was UHF was Weird Al Yankovic. UHF, I think you might be right. Or I remember that it was kind of like the what was the Saxon Black Sabbath. This is what was their name? The Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap. It was kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played Lenny. He played Lenny. And he pulled it off so perfectly too. He pulled it off so perfectly. I understand, sir, that you are an avid gamer. There were rumors many years ago, through the grapevine, many moons ago. Maybe we got a message through the Stargate. I think that there was an MMORPG that was planned for Stargate Universe. Man, what a missed opportunity. I mean, to take control of a Jaffa and get into your cargo ship and like have to fly around or go through and go to different planets and so on. There was a lot that they could have done with that. What is your gaming thing like? What do you enjoy? Mm-hmm. 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 Uh, Christopher Judge, former University of Oregon starting forward, if I remember. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Ah, yeah, actually, well, actually, very good answer. Very good answer. If there were any, like, say, classic movie that you could, if you were like given the range, somebody came up and gave you the envelope and the screenplay and said, you know what, here, make your movie of choice. Which, I'm asking for a remake, like a remake of a classic film that you think deserves a remake. And what character would you like to play? Kind of like they did with the War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, his version. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before you've asked this question, and it's not to say that it's insignificant. It brings to mind, that I want to bring a certain honor and reverence to Humphrey Bogart and to his his film body, and to his career, to all the things that he embodied in the end. It was leadership and a lot of other things that came with it. You know what I mean? Humphrey Bogart didn't come from the gutter or anything like that. He was a son of a family of means, but he he saw he saw that it was his duty to be a Navy seaman, and he saw during the Second World War, and he had done, or maybe it was the first. I'm not absolutely certain. I think it was the first World War. That's right. And he had done a lot of different things that were really well. They just embodied at the time, not just what was set up by the studio, which was, here's our player, and here's how we want him represented, and here's how he's going to say things and how he's going to do things. But sort of the behind the scenes stuff. He was very inclusive. He didn't believe in the color barrier. He didn't believe that the other players who were players on the stage or to the side were of any lesser value, regardless of, and it's much like Shakespeare said, it's like you can you can either hold the shield and sword or not. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there is no small part, right? If that's the ensemble and that's your play, do it the best you can. Do you know what I mean? Be the best spear holder you can. And eventually you might play Hamlet or Romeo, or do you know what I mean? But that's what being a part of that is about. You know what I mean? Especially with stage life. Stage life is such a circus.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I have a small amount of experience in the theater. I worked in a playhouse down in Florida Keys for. I did a little bit of scene carpentry work and some spotlight
Dude,
work. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's You're very diverse in your life experience.
Well,
That's pretty great, man.
I get bored easily, and so I have to go to the next thing, and then I get bored of that, and I have to go to the next thing, and then. But the one thing that has always been in the forefront, in the background, in all aspects, my books, my science fiction, and one of my favorites is the X Files, of course.
Cool, man.
This is, as you can see, I have X Files.
Wasn't that the thing
There's
about the X Files? It was so well written. It was so, complex and diverse, and it just encompassed so many subplots and subtext and between subplots. It was just, it was very Twin Peaksy as far as I was concerned. You know what I mean? It was very. I just, I saw such wonderful creativity from Chris specifically. As far as that creative body, and then Kim Manners, and how everything worked so well together. And then, of course, Goodman and everybody else was just, I mean, I once again, I'm horrible with names, so whoever else I may have missed out on, but yeah, as a collective and as a team, because that's exactly what it was for the 6 years that it was here, you know. Oh, that's that ghost. That's a ghost that fell off there. I swear. Not. It's crap. Oh, yes, a ghost.
Dude, there's talks in the work, floating around all the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Twitters. There's talks of a reboot of the X Files. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, truth be told, is it hasn't ended. There's a season 12 to be had, isn't there? Isn't there a
I
season 12 and 13 or 14? Say, yeah,
I
it
didn't.
can continue, really, truthfully, for where it's at.
There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so much that they could do with it. There's so many things that they could do.
Right?
And the
Yeah.
X Files has become such a cultural staple that you literally only have to go. And so, I know that.
Dude,
I know
yeah.
that.
I got pals who've got it on their cell phone. That's their ringtone.
Do they call? Do they call? Do they say, "Hey man, I'm about to be with Dean. Call me in 5 minutes when CP gets it."
It's so funny, yeah, and I'm so tickled every time, and just to be, thought of and included. It's truly tremendous, and like I said, for my characters specifically, because I didn't, I wasn't part of that ensemble, right? I was separate, and only because of time, and the time separated us. I was always back into the 1950s, but the cigarette smoking man and myself, and Chris Owens and myself, kind of became friends in that. But I'd gotten the chance to meet Jillian and David, but we never shared the screen together. Within the same time frame. But in Demons, we did in fact share the episode, and they appeared, and so did I. So that was kind of, sort of, but we didn't film together on the scene or anything like that. So I was very honored by that, and still am, and will continue to be honored that I was given that opportunity to have that sort of separate, and they knew that I could carry it off without it being something that ruins the show or anything like that. I was just so grateful for that opportunity, and I hope that I stood, the what do they call it, the sands of time. I
Yes,
hope it
sir.
stands
And
up to that. Because I was certainly proud of it at the time, and malleable, and yeah. So any continuation would be, from my point of view, would be something that would be. I've actually uh, I solicited a friend some time ago to write a whole treatment for a show, an X Files related type show, but it was the beginning of the X Files and the whole. And well, we talked about it. We had a couple meetings, and he went away, and he did some doodling, and he did some thinking, and he did some writing, um, I suffer from dyslexia, so I find it difficult to be able to um, to form words and functional structure of yeah. I can read enough, and but it's to communicate in that form. I'm at a disadvantage, so maybe I overcompensate when I talk, and that's very possible. But in that, he came up with a body that with my cajoling and sharing of the idea of not only a script but a whole Bible of a storyline for a television series. Yeah, and he entitled it Groom Lake. It's about 1948 to 1960 something.
nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah, and brilliantly done. Yeah, and this gentleman's name is Jason Kelly. This is a name I didn't forget. I didn't forget Jason.
Yep.
Yeah, and his television series is called Groom Lake, and it's basically the antithesis, the very first X Files. The very first sort of these alien interactions, and it's
That was
sort of the relationship that the government has with these entities, and that's why we wanted to sort of go a little bit further past the 62 into 70, because both not only both of those eras are very groovy, but they by the time standard, right, super cool to be able to show visually, and yeah. And I thought, sort of a great backstory, right?
yeah. I did the the whole backstory of your father and the syndicate was like one of the bases of that show that really just got me totally hooked. One of my viewers, Mug Stoner 714, would like to know. He says, "Will the X Files come back?"
It's very possible. Absolutely, they will. Yeah, if it's for anything, it might even be another feature film or something like that. But I have to give all credit to Gillian Anderson for the wonderful roles and things that she's playing, whether it be in The Crown or any of these other things that we've had the opportunity of watching her in. She's doing a great job. And David's, I think, out there and available as well. But I can't at all speak for them. But I know that there's lots more story to tell. So
And Travis Gray would like to know, what was it like working with David Duchovny?
um, I didn't get the chance to work with him right on camera, but he was in the same episode that I was in Travelers. Um, and I think no, was he in Musings? I don't think he was. Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man.
I
I
don't.
don't. I don't believe he was. In any case, he was genuine. He was super intelligent about what he wanted to execute, and open to letting you know that he's doing things and that there's a purpose behind it, and you know what I mean, and to not be affected in such a way and he also had a lot of joviality. You know what I mean? He was fun. He was sort of, quirky and whatnot, but only truly behind the scenes. I think, David Duchovny embodies his roles really well. I enjoyed his performance in that show. It was filmed down south, and he played a writer, Henry or Harry or something like that, and he was really good. The complexities of the family dynamics and everything. And a buddy of mine played the bartender, Callum Keith Rennie. He played the bartender on it, and Callum was on the X Files, I think, for a bit too. Yeah,
As a native Canadian, you are one of the representatives of the Indigenous actors of Canada and Western United States. I'd like to ask you about one specific episode of Stargate SG-1, which was called Spirits. Tanani, and um, the three their gods, and that particular episode was rather poignant in that it sort of juxtaposed the indigenous peoples of the Americas uh, plight with the taking of their land in their histories and in the past. And the Stargate writers incorporated the search for trinium on another planet, coming across an ancient tribe of humans that were displaced from Earth, from the Goa'uld, and or not from the Goa'uld. They rescued them from the Goa'uld, and with that particular story, I think the writers did such a good job of, as I say, juxtaposing the cultural problems that the natives have in this country have been so unfairly dealt over our histories.
I was very, 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 very proud of to be a part of, and still to continue to be a part of Stargate, and specifically SG-1, because of that, because of its storytelling and its ability to take something seriously. Do you know what I mean? And to not to appropriate. Do you know what I mean? But to distinguish, a culture and an identity that is important, right? But diverse in its own identity. They never took it to a point of stereotype. You know what I mean? It was always, thoughtful and thought provoking, and that's the key to its longevity and to its fan base, and to I mean, treating its fans as if they're intelligent human beings who have hearts and mind. Okay.
well, part of the problem with writing for a science fiction show such as Stargate or The X Files is that you really can only incorporate the social norms that are available at the time. So how do you write for a problem that you don't know could exist? You know.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yeah, and Gene Roddenberry and then the preludes, the people who had come before, and the and all the wonderful, oh, like I said, I'm horrible with names, but the the visage that I see is like a robot woman, and yeah. Anyhow, Adam Asimov, something like that.
Admiral Janeway.
Yeah, but
Admiral
Janeway,
Janeway.
yeah. That was Star Trek too, right?
Voyager, yes
Janeway.
sir. Voyager.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
Science fiction has always tried to incorporate some firsts. Uh, Star Trek had the first interracial kiss between Nichelle Nichols and um, Kirk, Bill Shatner.
another
Uh,
Canadian, eh?
Stargate was the longest running congruent show in science fiction history, I think. Um, Star Trek did it with Deep Space Nine. If you remember Avery Brooks' performance in the episode In the Pale Moonlight, Avery Brooks directed that episode, and it had to do with the racism of the 1950s. He played the writer Benny, who was writing the story of Deep
I
Space
remember the
Nine.
hat and everything. Yeah, I remember the
Yes.
costume, everything. Yeah, no, of course. I'm a great fan of Avery Brooks and Deep Space Nine specifically. And I don't know the name of, obviously. I mean, hell, if I can't remember people's names, the name of the episode is going to just go. Pew. But certainly that show and its characters and wonderful, deep honest and authentic, original portrayals in everything that I saw from almost everyone on
Mm-hmm.
that show, the guest stars included. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the regulars were the best.
Mm-hmm. You
They
know a
were
few
really
of them.
good.
You and I spoke. You know of a few of them from some of your other forays uh, into other shows and other realms. What do you see in your near future? What are you giving on burners?
I have several projects that that I'm personally working on as producing and will be starring in as well. But I do have one gig that I'm supposed to be doing in March. It's the television series is called Transcendent Realms.
Transcendent realms. Okay.
Yeah. So and I'm sorry, the character that I'm playing, it's been confirmed and everything, but I've forgotten the name of the character, but it's on IMDb as an announcement, so
Mm-hmm.
it's out there somewhere. And we've been postponed with COVID several times, three in fact, because of the waves, I guess, and everything that's been going on. We're filming a greater body of it in Europe, and so that's going on in the new year. Between now and then, I've had just a wonderful time auditioning and showcasing my talents and working with a dear friend of mine, and well, actually a couple of dear friends of mine helping me with filming here in my room and at home here in Canada for lots of wonderful shows, and developing something that is sort of a legacy kind of project that my uncle, who um, passed away on my well his ceremony was on my 50th birthday,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was honored to stand and try and help that funeral procession, and he introduced me to see. It's a deep question because this is, like I said, it's a heartfelt story, and it's sort of a big story as well. It encompasses Canada as a whole. It encompasses a culture, my First Nations culture, my Indigenous culture, of
Which
of the Métis people, and
Métis?
Métis. Yeah, mine is a cross between the Cree Nation and the Scottish people. Yeah, the first what they usually would come and trap and trade and whatnot for up to like 3 years, sometimes even more. But they would leave from their homelands, whether it be England or Scotland or Ireland or whatever, and they'd come across and they trap and they trade and they consume and build up big stockpiles and then take them back. And during their visits, they would have what they called farm wives, and they those farm wives were usually Indigenous women who, when the men left, were generally abandoned. And in my case, uh, my my forefather Titimet was one of the first to be recognized as his wife, and his children were given an inheritance as well. And this is way back in 1700s. Yeah. And so yeah, that story my uncle imbibed in me, and then through that we found a relation to a Canadian leader. His name is Louis Riel, and Louis Riel is my first cousin, three generations removed. My uncle's two generations removed. My grandmother's one. So it was quite and is quite significant. And Louis Riel was a leader of the Métis people in Manitoba, and he suffered from a lot of a lot of well, the miscarriages of injustice, which number one, him defending his people and defending our traditional way of life, and defending our trade, and and then us in fact being recognized as human beings that we were, because we lived between villages, right? We were of indigenous descent, and we were of Christian or white or Anglo-Saxon descent as well. It's mixed blood, um, and quite a gift we were given, right, to be able to do it, to reside with both power we only have, right, and recognized within our culture and our names. Anyhow, I kind of go on about it because my uncle had
Jeez, it
given me
needs
the
to be
task.
said. It needs to be said. It needs to be heard.
Well, it does, right? And my uncle gave me the task to tell it, to tell that story, and it's somewhat kismet that I am already an actor,
Hmm.
that I'm a storyteller, that I'm already of that age, and yeah, I'm just honored, but it is a weight upon my shoulder that I must tell this story, and my friend Nathaniel is he's also related to L'Oreal's general, and once again I think the name is it's just sorry, I'll maybe come up with it
Fine.
in a minute.
Don't worry about it.
I will. His name was Gabriel Dumont. And
Gabriel.
Gabriel Dumont helped L'Oreal in the three specific conflicts that he had with the Canadian government and the mounted police.
Hmm.
Yeah, who were really just and never mind. I can keep on. I could tell so many stories about it, but anyhow, I put together a collective of his life stories, and where where it's very ambitious, but
Hmm.
it's a mini series, and I want to I want to share the roots of it, the 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 culture, the beauty, the strength, the endurance, and the well, the heartfelt hurt in some ways of not having been recognized, but then the elation and pride that has been given by being recognized and being a part of our nation's history and culture, and showing that culture, showing it in such a way that people can understand that the differences are what make us magical, and that
Agree. Agree. 100%.
it doesn't separate us. It's just about your individual experience is one that I've shared as well. My individual experience and a collective experience we've all had. So many things that we have in common, and to tell that, and so that people will have that understanding and compassion, that empathy, for a different culture and the struggles of which they've gone through to be what they are now. Not a handout person, or
Hmm.
or a drunk, or dirty, or all of the stereotypes that we've been told. But full of pride and dignity, and that's what I'd like to bring at least to a streaming service near you, and I have some wonderful collaboratives that are working with me, some of the alumni of Stargate SG1, and it's just it's a matter of me bringing together the finances in order to put a writing team together of two very Emmy award-winning writers, but I need to get the money to get them to be able to write it for 8 months, because it's collectively it's 4 feature films length
Oh, wow.
of
That's long.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, and so and just and so full of and we our conversations are just magical, and it's topical as far as our time is concerned, and it's not just about Canada, it's about the world and each and every one of us in all of this stuff, and not about blaming any one societal or cultural identity. It's about explaining. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Showing, revealing, and
Absolutely.
I've likened it to such stories that touched me as the story of Roots. We sat
Hmm.
around as a family, in a large family, and watched that series, that mini series, and we watched a culture of people enslaved from a great and diverse culture
Mm-hmm.
that they were stolen from, and
Yes.
we saw another culture brought together, but without, it wasn't a whole bunch of all the angst of all of that, F you and you're bad and yeah, you're the enemy. And it wasn't, it was about the explanation of it. Do you know what I mean? And yes, of course, there's the good and the bad guys. I mean, all those stories have them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And any other story, is kind of just that, the news, if, without that, right? Whether it's the comic foil or the villain, or it's your antagonist and protagonist, and so in all of that, um, Louis Riel was not a caricature. Do you know what I mean? He was the embodiment of hero,
Mm-hmm.
um, because he ultimately sacrificed his life, at the end of a rope. They hung him for treason.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, and then his story, the story and history of it has been, um, it's hard to not say a harsh word. It's been adopted. It's been whitewashed. It's been written by the victors.
Yes. History usually is, unfortunately.
And right, and so, well, out and out lies without, having to hold back. And it's the one thing when I'm watching the news or what, that I just, I despise when they're talking, and they say, oh well, he's being disingenuous, and I'm like, oh, I just want to say, well, he's a liar is what he's I mean, like, come on. So I decided to take a page from my own book, and so with that, his story has been told with lies and with uh, just mishistory that is deceptive, for a reason, and within, I'm sure performed by an obligation on their part. You know what I mean? To do whatever was necessary to paint a memory of my first cousin, and a leader of Canada, and Manitoba, and he brought confederation to this whole country. Brought it together,
Mm-hmm.
and on November the 16th, is the well, that's the day that they killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we commemorate that, or at least the Métis people do. Yeah, and that's coming up. Yeah. So with that story is going to be told, and then I have some more lighthearted, affair, some more popcorn kind of stuff, that I really am excited about. That I'd had the opportunity of writing a screenplay early on in my career by adapting a stage play. It was one of the things that we were taught at the what I am so very grateful to have been a part of, which was the Native Theatre School, Spirit Song here in Vancouver,
Oh, cool.
um, and that's actual application of applying a stage play to a screenplay, was a lesson given to me from a play that I had already just finished doing, and in that, given the opportunity to see how it's done, even as much as I can't form a construct. It's difficult. I can do a freehand thing, and
Mm-hmm.
some people can actually read it, and so it's able to, in translation, it's able to get there, and I've been very grateful to be in a situation where it's mostly collaborative that way, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy about that. And technology is sort of catching up too, where I can, sort of speak most of the things that I'm thinking and doing and trying to bring together. But I am no writer by any means, and I've definitely called on some of the greatest, and they're just, they keep popping up. And this one that I'm talking about when it comes to the screenplay is called Shapeshifter, and Ronnie Way and myself are part of that well, I guess, creation, and yeah, and then there's a couple other things I was looking forward to. I don't know if you are you a Batman kind of aficionado? Do you like Batman or
I
DC
I've seen, yes, I've seen a lot of the Batmans. I grew up watching the old the '60s version. Pow, sock, bang,
Bam,
yeah,
boom, back.
yeah.
Wow,
The
yeah,
Michael,
okay, yeah,
everything up from the Michael Keaton. I've seen pretty much all of them at least once. I
cool,
mean,
cool.
who doesn't like a rich playboy running around saving people? That's
So you're familiar with at least that Batman. Okay, well, there's this villain that is in the Batman domain, that I was really hoping to embody. The character's got this just two little beard kind of things on his, and he's 900 years old. He revives himself often whenever he dies, basically, and he's Batman's father-in-law, in fact. Yeah,
oh
Ra's al Ghul. Do you know that character?
no, I don't know it.
Ra's al Ghul and the
Oh,
Lazarus Pit.
Ra's al Ghul. Yeah,
That's him. Yeah, yeah.
The
And Aliyah,
League of Assassins.
yeah, he's the head of the demon. Yes, yes, he is. Yeah, and like I said, he's 800 years old, and he's done all of that well before anybody else did, and his relationship is deep, deep, deep in that. And so I've put together a short film to try and pitch to DC about my interest in doing
Awesome.
that role.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
could see it. I could
whether
see it. I've seen you with that little thing on. I've seen that.
right, yeah, I did that once just because the whole idea was coming to me, and this is the culmination of that. But it's still all of these things that I'm doing are all speculative. They've not been done, and that's where I know it's important to execute those things, to make sure that they are done and to focus on them, and especially if you're going to talk about them. So, and that's why, a lot of us don't really talk about these things and whatnot because there are things about to happen or whatnot. But I do have a certain amount of control over the Louis Real story and, some executive and starring, role. And so I do have some say in those things, but it's all guided and I think by exactly that, by divinity, by the necessaries that need to be done, that the parts that we're supposed to play, and whether they're the roles of actor, producer, or writer, or stagehand, that they're written for us, that and it's up to us to take that and do something with it. Like I remember being just exactly that, a second and stagehand basically helping and wanting to get on stage, but all of that was earned. Do you know what I mean? It was all about and asked to whether or not they were going to get sick or not. If they didn't get sick, I'd step in. Do you know what I mean? But that is it was for me a veteran place to be, something that was about aspiring and about going towards a goal and having that in mind, keeping me wanting to wake up every day and do that thing. I mean, it's such a blessing, and a curse at the same time.
Every day we gotta wake up and just. My father used to say, just do the damn thing.
Yeah,
Whatever it
man.
is, just do the
Yeah,
damn thing.
and what a blessing if you can do the thing that you love,
My father used to
or
say,
do
if you love what you do, you never really work a day in your life.
it's true. It
You know,
is true.
it's
And to aspire to get better at it, to be better at it,
mm-hmm.
to even see the results. Like I'm over the moon at the stuff that I'm auditioning for, and that's what I mean, and that I can showcase my talent in those forms, and and know that I've got a role waiting for me in March, and yay, that's wonderful. You know what I mean? But between then and now, it's like, and so I'm just going, okay, well, I'm going to take this time as an opportunity to keep building on the things that while I'm filming, I can have being done without me, if that's at all possible. But really, it's those guys writing, and yeah. And and I would love to just say their name and to say, hey, what's their affiliation with Stargate and all that. I would love to, but I can't, because it's not a number one under contract, right? And it's just not in good taste.
Well, Travis would also, for one final question, Travis would like to know if X Files were to come back. Would you like to see the old cast return, or would you like to have all new actors and actresses?
Well, the truth be told, I think that it should have new blood, new storyline, but there's nothing to say that we couldn't see and an evolution of the agents that were there previous. Do you know what I mean? And so to see whoever survives from the last, right? And but I don't think that I would like to see. And as much as I love Bill, I don't think I would like to see the sort of the Cancer Man storyline thing. I don't think I would like to see the sort of the old guard kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see David Duchovny, and I would like to see Gillian Anderson, and I think I would also like to see the gentleman who's the sergeant, or he's the captain.
The director. Skinner, Walter Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner. Skinner was on Stargate as well. Yeah, and he's currently on a television series, the new Walker Ranger. He's playing the father.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah, Mitch Pileggi. Yeah, yeah, I think that's his name. Like I said, I'm horrible with names, right? I am so bad with names. Anyhow, he's a good actor too. I saw him. Yeah, he's been doing lots of work and continues to getting better. And from my point of view, it's just like I'm just, and I guess that's something of an insight that I've been trying to share, which is I'm just elated to be in the company of such wonderful creative artists who have been at it and continue to be at it, and I get to see it at conventions, and sometimes get to actually work with in scenes and on shows, and the whole Riverdale thing, and and working with Skeet Ulrich, you know what I mean? Like, that was a joy. That was quite cool, and then Chris O'Dowd, like on Twilight Zone. Like, I'm just, so it's a pleasure to me to be able to get an opportunity to do that. And it's also a pleasure to me to be viewed as as a performer who brings something to the table that is authentic, and that can scare you and can confuse you and can keep you in somewhat of an amuse. And I'm just really grateful that those things, that, like I said, those roles that were meant for us are the ones that we did, and I'm so grateful that I did get a chance to do them, and that I let myself, really. That's, I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but in the way of that, hey man, I didn't stop myself where, with my inner fear, or with my, my story of, whatever, we all come up with something, right? And it's like, whether it's religion, or it's culture, or it's, dysfunctional families, or alcoholism, or
subjects.
Yeah, man. And we all come from somewhere, right? We all come from somewhere, and that's the thing that I want to be, is that sounding board in that, you know what I mean? That empathy of it, you know what I mean? And to play these characters and these roles and these human beings as human beings, you know what I mean? Compassionate and empathetic, as well as evil and vile, you know what I mean? That's all of it. Man. That's all of it. I'm just so honored to just to be able to have that function. And boy, oh boy, to have played these iconic roles so far, and to still be wanted to talk about them, it blows me away, you know. And I know you guys go, oh, well, we're blown away. Well, no, you guys, your interest in this and the franchise and the stories, and it's honored by us wanting to know what you're about, because we were in your living rooms, we were in your kitchens, we were sometimes in your bathrooms.
We welcome
It's
you in
like,
every time. We welcome you in.
yeah.
Dean Aylesworth, my friend, the last hour, sir, has been an honor for me. I appreciate it. Uh, you have any final words you'd like to say for any of the viewers? Any advice? Any life advice? Drink more
um
water. Chip off free.
yeah, no, definitely some, we're all going through something when it comes to this world, whether it's religion or politics, or our own histories, the mistakes that we've made or we haven't made. It's what we do with it and what we can do with it that I want to imbibe, that I want to share, that I want to be a part of, and it it keeps me going. I'm once again, I hope that my gratitude is shown very
It
clearly.
is. It absolutely is. I know that my viewers definitely appreciate you. They've all been asking when this was going to happen, and I'm so honored to and proud to be a part of it. And I look forward to the next one. And you've inspired me, sir. I'm
Good,
I'm
good. I'm in. I'm down for that, right?
yes, sir.
It's just lead by example. I'm afraid too. I'm afraid, but I have courage. And the only way I got courage is by trying. You know what I mean? Try and be brave in my head, in my actions, and all that stuff. We're all shaking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So
So thank you for your time and your viewership, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for
Samantha
giving a
says thank
crap.
you. Travis says thank you. MP says thank you. Mythic, thank you. For anybody who didn't catch the podcast, the live stream, it's going to be rebroadcast on all three of the channels, and probably Dean will have a copy as well. Thank you everybody who joined, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Dean Aylesworth, my friend, thank you so very much.
You're very welcome.